this video, we will delve into the movie Harry Potter and the Philosopher's Stone. We will discuss its storyline, summarize the plot, and explore the cast and characters. Additionally, we will cover the movie's production details and box office performance. Finally, we will provide reviews and share personal reaction. So let's get started. The very first Harry Potter film, Harry Potter and the Philosopher's Stone, or Stone, for its release in the United States, where audiences were assumed to be unfamiliar with the alchemical term, is now released after 20 years into a rather different world. Sadly, the actor who played the original Dumbledore, Snape, Uncle Vernon, and Mr. Ollivander, Richard Harris, and Alan Rickman, Richard Gifts, and John Hart, are no longer with us. The Harry Potter franchise itself is a still colossal commercial entity, an IP Shangri-La, although its creator J.K. Rowling is now at the center of an acrimonious gender politics debate undreamed of in 2001, and the world of children's and via functions, which she almost single-handedly revived all over the world, is strongly polarized on just these issues. It's amazing and poignant to remember the sheer excitement of that premiere in November 2001. I myself called it an old-fashioned pre-September 11 news event. Harry Potter emerged into the cinema as we still are stunned by 9 by 11, but yet to see the retaliatory war on terror. This film, emerging 4 years after the original novel, marked the birth of a new pop culture myth to rival Sherlock Holmes and James Bond, and the circumstances of its own arrival become mythic, from rolling on early poverty to the snapping up of film rights. Warner Bros. Had gambled on 3 cherubically young actors to carry the series through their own adolescence to its final. Daniel as Harry, Emma Watson as Hermione, and Robert Grant as Ron. Opinions on the acting may divide here, and it was admittedly Robert playing Cedric Diggory in Goblet of Fire who had a real career staying power, but I can't think of these characters played by any other actors. The world of the stories being remade or re-adapted with a different cast is heresy. I even grew to like Grant a very broad, goofy acting in which he was encouraged by director Chris Columbus at the outcast. Moonface looks heartbreakingly unformed. In the film, we see Harry Potter coming to terms with his messianic purpose. He is released from his dignations in creations in the Dursley household and sent for his first term at Hogwarts with its public school. Oxbridge traditions, Harry learns how to play Quidditch like Tom Brown learning, and his 3 pals are stored into their various houses. They encounter the formidable teaching staff, including Professor M.C. Maggie Smith, Professor Curie, and Professor Snape, and then meet the challenge of a deadly assault on Harry. And is still a very entertaining and spectacular movie with a rush of nostalgia to go alongside. Often, even though some of the flying effects during the big Quidditch match are not quite what we are used to in 2021. Wingardium Leviosa says he earnest, wide-eyed, harmonic, and the story is airborne again. Harry Potter and the Philosopher's Stone is released on 29 October in cinema. Harry Potter and the Sorcerer's Stone is a red-blooded adventure movie, dripping with atmosphere filled with the gruesome and the sublime, and surprisingly faithful to the novel. A lot of things could have gone wrong, and none of them have. Chris Columbus' movie is an enchanting classic that does full justice to a story that was a daunting challenge. The novel by J.K. Rowling was muscular and revived, and the danger was that the movie would make things too cute and cutely. It does not like an Indiana Jones of younger viewers. It tells a ripe roaring tale of supernatural adventure where colorful and eccentric characters alternate with steady stuff like a three-headed dog, a bit of tenderness known as the devil's snare, and a two-faced immortal who drinks unicorn bloody scary. Yes, but not too scary, just scary enough. Three high-spirited, clear-eyed kids populate the center of the movie. Daniel Radcliffe plays Harry Potter. He with the round glasses, and like all of the young characters, he looks much as I imagined him, but a little older. He once played David Copperfield on the BBC, and whether Harry will be the hero of his own life in his story is much in doubt at the beginning. Deposited as a founding on a suburban's doorstep, Harry is raised by his aunt and uncle as a poor relations, then summoned by the blizzard of letters to become a student at Hogwarts School and Oxbridge for magicians. Our first glimpse of Hogwarts sets the tone for the movie's special effects. Although computers can make anything look realistic, too much realism would be the wrong choice for Harry Potter, which is a story in which everything, including the sets and locations, should like a little mad up. The school rising on ominous, gorging battlements from a moonlight deck looks about as real as in Citizens can, and its corridors, cellars, and great hall, although in some cases making use of real buildings, continue the feeling of an atmospheric book. Illustrations at Hogwarts, Harry makes new friends and an enemy. The friends are Hermione Granger, Emma Watson, whose merry face the tangled cure give Harry news in the directions of lightening up a little, and Ron Weasley report gained all pluck, luck, and untamed talent. The enemy is Draco Malfoy, Tom Felton, who will do anything and plenty besides to be sure his house plays first at the end of the year. The story you either already know or do not want to know. What is the good to know is that the adult cast, a who's who of British actors, played a role more or less as if they believed them. There is a broad style of British acting developed in Christmas pantomimes which would have been fatal to this material. These actors know that they deal down to just this side of too much. Watch Alan Rickman drawing out his words until they seem ready to snap, yet somehow staying in character. Maggie Smith, still in the prime of Miss Jane. Brody is Professor Minora, MC, who assigns newcomers like Harry to one of the school's four houses. Richard Harris is Headmaster Dumbledore. He is born to long dead in Edward Land poem. Birds would nest in its ruby. Coltrane is the gamekeeper. Hagrid, who has a record of misbehavior and a way of saying very important things and Jen not believing that he said them. Computers are used exuberantly to create a plausible look into gravity-defying action scenes. Reader of the book will wonder how the movie visualizes the crucial game of Quidditch. The game, like so much else in the movie, is more or less as I visualized it, and I was reminded of Stephen King's story that writers practice a form of telepathy, placing ideas and images in the heads of their readers. The reason some movies don't look like their books may be that some producers don't read them. If Quidditch is a virtuoso sequence, there are other set pieces of almost equal wizardry or chess game with life-size deadly pieces, a room filled with flying keys, the pit of tendrils already mentioned, and a dark forest where a loathsome creature threatens Harry but is scared away by a centaur and the dark shadows of Hogwarts library, cellars, hidden passage, and dungeons, where an invisibility cloak can keep you out of sight but not out of trouble. During Harry Potter and the Sorcerer's Stones, I was pretty sure I was watching a classic, one that will be around for a long time and make many generations of fans. It takes the time to be good. It does not hammer the audience with easy thrills, but cares to tell a story and to create its characters carefully, like The Wizard of Oz, Willy Wonka and the Chocolate Factory, Star Wars and E.T. It is not just a movie, but a world with its own magical rules and some excellent Quidditch player. Harry Potter still has audience under its spell after all these years. Despite recurring debates around its creator, the franchise remains a cultural powerhouse, captivating the masses worldwide. They are we suddenly talking about Harry Potter, you ask? Well, we recently came across the streaming figure for the first installment in the series and thought it would be a great idea to take our reader on a nostalgia trip. But first, check out the streaming data, forming the base of the piece. According to Collider, Harry Potter and the Philosopher's Stone clocked in over 40 million views on Max, enhancing nearly 20% of Warner Bros. Discovery subscriber base. These figures, extracted from Digital, its British streaming export list, reveal just how enduring people's love for Hogwarts is. The insight covering key territories such as the US, Canada, Japan, South Korea, and Australia paints a clear picture of fans' unwavering loyalty to the boy who lived. Philosopher's Stones, debuting in 2001, grossed USD 974 millions worldwide, with USD 317 millions coming from the domestic market and USD 657 million from international terrorists. For those unversed, the film introduced Daniel Radcliffe as the orphaned character who enrolls in the school of Wizardry and uncovers unsettling secrets about his lineage and the evil that haunts the magical world. Emma Watson, Rupert Grint, and Tom Felton also starred in the beloved 8-movie saga, which has a collective box office of USD 7.7 billion. Philosopher's Stone was not the only Harry Potter film captivating the earlier mentioned faction of viewers. The Goblet of Fire also cracked the top 10, further cementing the franchise's dominance. Beyond Hogwarts, British content as a whole and an impressive streaming presence last year, with US viewers alone consuming an astonishing 633 million hours of media. While WB can celebrate Harry Potter's continued command, Netflix still holds the crown when it comes to overall viewership statistics. Leading the charge of the streaming giant was Fool Me Once, Harlan Coben's thriller amazing a jaw-dropping 650 million views outside the UK, capturing over 42% of the platform's audience. Other British titles that were appreciated by entertainment buffs included Baby Reindeer One Day, The Gentleman, and more. Have you checked out Netflix's latest rich adult scenes yet? If yes, do share your opinion with us. A lot of things happened in the world of Harry Potter 19 years later. Not only was there the time jump in Deathly Hallows Part 2 that saw a grown-up Harry, Ron, and Hermione drop their future kids off at Platform 9 and 3x4 decades after defeating Voldemort, but it's also the amount of time it's taken for the very first film in the series, Harry Potter and the Philosopher's Stone, to cross the $1 billion mark at the worldwide box office. On its original release in 2001, the film pulled in over $974 million worldwide and since then has topped up the box office takings in re-releases and reissue, from Harry Potter IMAX marathon screenings to be international redistributions in the intervening years. But I think that finally pushed it across the $1 billion threshold. There has been a recent re-release in Chinese cinema, drawing people back to the big screen in the wake of the coronavirus pandemic. Since July this year, the film has earned over $17 million in China in a 4K IMAX 3D presentation. We are thrilled to see Harry Potter and the Philosopher's Stone delight a new generation of audiences, says Andrew Graves, Warner Bros. Pictures head of international distributions. The popularity of the film with moviegoers in China, who are discovering it for the first time, proves that the appeal of these stories is truly timeless and universal. This makes it the second film in the franchise to rake in over $1 billion, the other being its complementing book, The Deathly Hallows Part 2, with an overall tally of $1.4 billion worldwide. The continued popularity of Harry Potter makes the box office whoop of 2018 Fantastic Beasts: The Crime of Grindelwald all the more apparent. The second film in the Fantastic Beasts series approved the lowest grossing Wizarding World film so far, with worldwide receipts totaling $654 million. It remains to be seen whether the upcoming Fantastic Beasts 3, which is yet to begin shooting, can turn those fortunes around, particularly in the wake of J.K. Rowling damaging social media comments about the transgender community. You are in the $1 billion club, Harry. 2 decades after it was released in theaters, Harry Potter and the Sorcerer's Stone has surpassed $1 billion at the global box office. The first chapter in the magical series about everyone's favorite boy wizard hit the milestones thanks to 3D and IMAX re-release in China. Harry Potter and the Sorcerer's Stone landed the top spot on box office charts in China last weekend, amazing $13.6 million from 16,000 screens. The movie has generated $1.001 to date, making it the second installment in the 8-film franchise to cross the $1 billion mark. Harry Potter and the Deathly Hallows Part 2, the final chapter in the saga, made $1.34 million worldwide in 2011. In total, the series has grossed $7.74 billion at the box office. We are thrilled to see Harry Potter and the Sorcerer's Stone delight a new generation of audiences, said Andrew Graves, Warner Bros. Pictures head of international distributions. The popularity of the film with moviegoers in China, who are discovering it for the first time, proves that the appeal of these stories is truly. Harry Potter achieved a new milestone nearly 2 decades after its debut in theaters. Thanks to be re-released in China, Harry Potter and the Sorcerer's Stone has reached the $1 billion mark at the worldwide box office. The film that put Daniel Radcliffe, Emma Watson, and Rupert Grint on the map as child actors returned to screens in the country as a 4K 3D restoration August 14 as audiences began to return to public theatering going in the wake of COVID-19 lockdown. This past weekend alone, IMAX reported a $2.1 million haul from 3D IMAX showing across 594 screens in China. Sorcerer's Stone, which first hit the theaters in 2001, now boasts at estimated 1,001 to 6,000 lifetime gross. That makes it the second Harry Potter movie to cross $1 billion, after Harry Potter and the Deathly Hallows Part 2, which concluded the 8-part series in 2011 with 1.34 billion worldwide. We are thrilled to see Harry Potter and the Sorcerer's Stone delight a new generation of audiences, and Drew Creep's Warner Bros. Pictures head of international distributions said in a statement. The popularity of the film with moviegoers in China who were discovering it for the first time proves that the appeal of these stories is truly timeless and universal. Other films like Christopher Nolan's Inception have also been playing in Chinese theaters to help draw audience back to the big screen. Theaters in the United States are attempting a similar strategy. AMC Theaters plans its first phase of reopening August 20, with 15-cent movie tickets for one day only across select locations. Titles like Black Panther, Ghostbusters, Grease, Star Wars, Episode 4, The Empire Strikes Back, Bloodshot, and the Sonic the Hedgehog will make comebacks to theaters. Upcoming release The New Mutants, August 28, Tenet, September 3, are also on the books. We just have to wait and see if American audiences are willing to go back to theater, especially with a still prevalent rate of COVID-19 infection. Harry Potter and the Philosopher's Stone first hit cinema 19 years ago, but it's still raking its massive powers of gold. Due to the COVID-19 pandemic, the first film in the Harry Potter franchise was re-released in China as a 4K 3D restoration last week, helping it achieve a huge milestone. Thanks to the re-release, Harry Potter and the Philosopher's Stone, also known as Harry Potter and the Sorcerer's Stone, has hit the $1 billion mark at the worldwide box office. Hello dear my friends, and welcome to this very special review. Why is this special? Because in honor of Fantastic Beasts and where to find them coming out in November, I have decided to talk about the Harry Potter movies here on the blog. I was not sure in what style I would it in, however, so I had a little poll on Twitter. Movies here on the blog. I was not sure in what style I would it in, however, so I had a little poll on Twitter, follow me, where I asked if people would prefer separate reviews for each movie or if I wanted to rank list, and after a few days, with I think 12 votes, the separate reviews option won. So here we are talking about the first one in the series. Oh dear, 8 movies before mid-November, while also doing month of books. J.S. Lewis. Ladies and gentlemen, Harry Potter and the Philosopher's Stone. Harry Potter Daniel Radcliffe leads a pretty shit life. He lives with his outright mean Aunt Fiona Shaw and Uncle Richard Graves R.I.P. and their dickhead son, Dudley Harry Milling. But one night, Harry gets a visit from Rebus Hagrid Ruby Coltrane's accused man, who tells Harry that he's wizard and will get to the Hogwarts School of Witchcraft and Wizardry, where he will learn all sorts of awesome magic related stuff. And it's through his experience at Hogwarts that he learns about who he really is and what that means for the wizarding world around him. There he also meets his new best friends, Ron Weasley and Hermione Granger, and from all of these we get an incredible, imaginative, and very well realized world and story that I find very interesting and entertaining. Yeah, the plot of this movie is good and sets up this universe very well. The only problem might be that it meanders a bit at times, which slows the passing down. It's not too bad, like with some movies, but I definitely noticed it. So yeah, great plot, but not the best pacing. The characters here are so interesting, well developed and entertaining, And a lot of this, I think, comes down to the absolute traffic casting. Seriously, they nailed the casting for these characters too damn well. Daniel Radcliffe was perfect as Harry Potter, perfectly nailing the whole oblivious to this huge wizarding world that he was brought into. For someone who was so young at the time, his performance was really good. Rupert Grint was really good as Ron, perfectly capturing this not too bright but still lovable and charming personality. Emma Watson and really good as Hermione, even if she could come off a bit busy in her performance, like she was now. It will add little bit of his talk in her voice. Anybody who's seen the movies knows that what I am talking about. Robbie Coltrane as Hagrid was just perfect. Anytime he was on a screen, I wanted to give him a huge, that lovable of. The rest of the cast was pretty great too, with actors like Richard Harris, Magic Smith, Alan Rickman, from Tom Felton, John Hurt, Lanhart, John Cleese, and so many more. Yeah, I love them all. The original score for the movie was composed by the one and only John Williams. God with the conductor Baton, and the music he created for the movie has lived on for so many years. And when someone hears it, they know what it's from, and it just sounds too great. Seriously, when I sat down to watch the movie in preparation for this review, the music gave the goosebumps. It was so awesome. Really, all the music in the movies is not a short of fantastic. Based on the book by J.K. Rowling, this movie was brought to life by director Chris Columbus, not the Italian explorer who rediscovered America, the man who also directed the first two Home Alone movies, and he did a fantastic job. And when directing the movie, everything is well shot and overall well done. The sets are also fantastic, combined with some of the practical costumes and makeup that are used throughout. There is also CGI in this movie, which for the most part looks pretty good. Some bites don't hold up as well now, such as the Quidditch game, which has some pretty outdated CGI. Seriously, go back and watch the Quidditch match and tell me with a straight face that it looks fucking flawless. You can't, it's impossible. So, yeah, that distracted a bit. But other than that, the CG holds up pretty well. And seeing some of the spells and stuff being used in the movie is pretty fun. I also love the wizarding world itself. There are so many cool details to it that makes it also unique and interesting. This movie has been well received on Rotten Tomatoes. It has a 80% positive rating and a fresh certification. On Metacritic, it has a score of 64 by 100. Roger Ebert gave the movie 4 by 4 stars, and on IMDb, it has a score of 75 by 10. The movie was also nominated for 3 Oscars in the categories for the Best and Decorations, Best Costume Design, and Best Original Score. Harry Potter and the Philosopher's Stone is not a perfect movie. I would also say that it was a struggle to review it when I was such a nostalgic feelings about it, but I powered through. The plot is interesting, the characters are great, the acting is great, the music is just fantastic, the directing is good, and it's just really fun. However, the pacing at times is not that great, and there are some effects that don't really hold up. So now it's time for my final score. Alamora unlocks chest, open it and finds envelope with result. My final score for Harry Potter and the Philosopher's Stone is a 9/11 by 10. so it's not perfect, but it's definitely worth buying. My review of Harry Potter and the Philosopher's Stone is now completed. One done, seven to go. Harry Potter and the Philosopher's Stone is the first book in a series of history about a young boy named Harry Potter. The author of the book is an English writer, J.K. Rowling. The book was first published on June 26, 1997 by the London publishing house Bloomsbury. The book became the basis for the film on the same name. The movie was directed by Cherise Columbus in 2001. The main role were played by 13-year-old Rupert Grint, 12-year-old Daniel Radcliffe, and 11-year-old Emma Watson. Hyman and Columbus 2001. Many adult roles were performed by the leading British actors such as Maggie Smith, Alan Rickman, Joan Cleese, and others. The film was nominated for 3 Oscar awards in technical nominations. At the same time, did not win any of them. It can be watched by children of almost any age. PG rating from MAP, Hyman and Columbus 2001. The paper is a film review. It describes the film Harry Potter and the Philosopher's Stone as one of the most successful films in the style of fantasy. In spite of the style fantasy and fairy tales, there are many everyday, ordinary, and exciting episodes in the film the audience loves. The plot of the film draws the viewer's attention during the first minutes of the film. The film begins with the holiday in the magical world, the death of Lord Voldemort, a powerful dark wizard, after the murder of Lily and James Potter. Voldemort had to kill Harry Potter, who was only one 1-year-old. Professors Dumbledore and McGonagall and keykeeper Robs Hagrid leave Harry on the threshold for his aunts and uncle's house. Hyman and Columbus 2001. His aunt is the sister of Harry Potter's mother. The whole Dursley family hates Harry and everything about magic. Their son, Dudley, tortures Harry. In addition, they hide from Potter his original and do not tell him that he is a magician. Darcy's family said to Harry that his parents crashed in a car accident. All 10 years, he lives in dressing room under the steps. Not knowing the truth, Hyman and Columbus 2001 at midnight. When Harry turns 11, the Gant Hagrid enters into the hut to deliver a personal letter to Harry Potter and says that the Harry Potter is enrolled in the School of Witchcraft and Wizardry. Hogwarts in school, Harry Potter finds new friends such as Ron Weasley, Hermione Granger, and Neville Longbottom, and gets a sniper of the unit of Quidditch, Gryffindor, Hyman, and Columbus 2001. Harry Potter, in addition to acquiring friends, also gets enemies in school. Draco Malfoy and his commandos. He learns that the Philosopher's Stone is stored in Hogwarts, a stone that can make gold and its owner immortal. It turns out that Professor Dumbledore hid the stone in Hogwarts, especially when he learned that someone wanted to take hold of it. Harry and his friends believe that Professor Snape wants to possess this stone. At the same time, in the end, he realized that he was wrong when he met Skillwell's teacher in the storage room, Hyman and Columbus 2001. Skillwell tries to kill Harry, but it does not succeed. After that, Harry Potter, his body collapses, and the soul of Lord Voldemort, who persists, comes out of the body. It turns out Lord Voldemort is alive and wants to get a stone to regain his flesh. At the end of the movie, Dumbledore tells Harry that he destroyed that stone that Voldemort would not try to capture it. Dumbledore tells Pochi why he could not kill Sekirol. It turns out Harry is guarded by ancient magic, the magic of love, the curse of which was imposed on him by his mother, Hyman and Columns, 2001. At the same time, Dumbledore replies that he cannot tell the truth until he gets older. Going on vacations home to the Dursleys, Harry on the platforms receives a gift from Hagrid, a photo album with photo of his parents. It should be noted that the film has everything that the audience needs. Why it loves such movies like fantasy, magic, the struggle between good and evil, adventures, bright characters, and a fascinating plot. The world represented in the film is magical, invented. At the same time, it is very similar to the ordinary world in which every spectator lives and the actions that take place in modern times. Focus 2010. Just like in ordinary life, children go to school, do homework, they have favorite and unloved teachers, and importantly, even in a magical world, they need to make effort to succeed. Everything looks like in the ordinary world. At the same time, with an admixture of magic, and therefore, children simply identify themselves with the characters Hyman and Columns, 2001. The world invented by writer J.K. Rowling is realistic throughout, which is general is a hallmark of good fantasy. It is worth noting that the fantasy world can be not only a refuge but also an internal point of equilibrium, a source of mental strength for every spectator. The investigations of the phenomenon of fantasy necessarily touch upon this question of the reasons for its relevance. J.R.R. Tolkien sees a special functional significance in fantasy. The main task of the genre of fantasy is the satisfaction of certain ancient desires of a person. One such desire is to explore the depth of space and time. Fox 2010. The authors of the fantasy have different ideas about the religion and mythology. Their own worldview can often be expressed in the works directly. Fox 2010. The author of the fantasy have different ideas about religion and mythology. Their own worldview can often be expressed in the works directly. Fox 2010. However, this genre allows author to present serious ideas in an accessible and fascinating way. The fantasy raises problems and themes that somehow intersect with mythological discourse. The film Harry Potter is a film in the style of fantasy because it has a main feature of its genre. In the film, magic is one of the bright elements of the style, which interests about children and adults. Magic is a good way to attract the viewer's audience with unusual adventure and events that do not happen in everyday life. The magic in the world of Harry Potter is associated not only with the considerations of the wizard but also with the feelings he experiences at the time of magic creation. Some light spells, for example, Patronus, work and only when the wizard feels strong positive emotions. Hyman and Columns fantasy movies are a combination of history and myths. Harry Potter's film is a fantasy story about the magic school and magical elements, such as a magic wanted and invisible object. In ordinary life, it is impossible to meet children with magical powers. However, the watcher can see the magic in the movie Harry Potter and the Philosopher's Stone. According to J.R.R. Tolkien, fantasy is a style of hope. In the film, the viewer actively watches and cooperates with the events that occur in the life of the main character and expect happy end. When the film finishes, the audience sees an end. However, there is also a hint that the happy story has a continuation, and the audience should wait for many more magical surprises. Analyzes the film. It should be noted that the history of Harry Potter is an interviewing of genres of a fairy tale magic and fantasy fiction. At the same time, we can talk about the overall wonderful atmosphere of a fairy tale, which encompasses fairy tale, character, fabulous time, and space. Hyman and Callum's 2001 from the genre of fantasy work. J.K. Rowling inherited the epic narrative and some initial tragedy. In the very beginning, Harry Potter remains an orphan. He is forced to be suffer, living in the house of his aunt Fox 2010. The hero of fantasy must fulfill her missions, whatever it costs them. However, he is given the right to choose which genres contribute directly, living human images. For example, the mission of the main character, Harry Potter, is to destroy a dangerous and evil wizard. Until he does it, people will remain in constant threat to their lives. However, as mentioned above, the main hero can stay away and do not realize what he was destined for. At the same time, can choose another way and fight against evil. In the work about the Harry Potter, the viewer can observe on one of the features of fantasy genre, such as the possessions of honor, courage, and justice by the main character. He even studies at the faculty known for his brave disciples. J.K. Rowling mixed reality and fiction through the fairy tale, while of the real countries, places. However, due to the fantasy distractions, they acquire a kind of mysterious color. For example, the entrance to the magical land is in the center of London, in the backward of a small bar, and to enter the Ministry of Magic, one needs to use an ordinary, unremarkable phone booth and functions as an underground elevator. Hyman and Columbus 2001. The diversity of the world of fantasy creatures that occur throughout the narrative is a lasting that the genre of the fantasy combines with the work of J.K. Rowling. There are elves, centaurs, winged horses, hippogriffs, greenslow, and snorts in the film Hyman and Columbus 2001. People love to observe unusual events they cannot meet in everyday life. The film about Harry Potter, as already mentioned earlier, is not only a fantasy. At the same time, it is also a fairy tale. The existence of the differentiated magic wonder performed by the marvelous object and activity of the main hero is a typical characteristic of a fairy tale, and according to the examples already given, fantastic objects are an integral part of the history of Harry Potter. Therefore, the movie is a combination of the elements of the real world and a fairy tale, which makes it perfect fantasy. The genre, which covers all the elements mentioned above, the movie Harry Potter and the Philosopher's Stone is one of the best fantasy movies around the world. Spectators like to watch films in the style of fantasy, especially with unusual stories and fairy tale characters, which are very close to real life. The film became popular due to the combination of its light and existing story, in which magic and fantasy have ordinary people, which took place in a real geographical places. After the release of the film, Harry Potter, such a style as fantasy, became a more popular genre. The Harry Potter phenomenon, and make no mistake, this phenomenon is unlikely anything we have seen in recent history, rather than being the result of clever marketing and harsh tourism. Harry Potter's popularity began at the grassroots level, and what's more, the craze is not derived from a movie, video game, or television series, but from one of the oldest forms of mass market entertainment. a book, of course, now that it gets out of the bag. The marketing has begun in earnest. There are Harry Potter lunchboxes, trading cards, toys, wrapping paper, etc. But it's important to remember that these things follow the phenomenon that did not drive it. Much has been written about why Harry Potter is so popular with readers of all ages. While this analysis is fine, all you really have to do is read for a few chapters of any of the Harry Potter novel and you will understand the appeal. Arthur J.K. Rowling has developed an intensely likable hero and put his adventures on paper with a free and easy style that mixes high adventure with light drama and low-key comedy. The books manage to walk the literally tightrope of never taking themselves too seriously while avoiding the easy pitfall of self-parody. That tone is what Chris Columns' motion picture adaptations strive for, and for the most part achieves. Harry Potter and the Sorcerer's Stone is unquestionably a member of the fantasy genre. However, while the majority of fantasy novels strike a tone that straddles the somber and the ominous, Rowling keeps it light, falling somewhere between that of David Adding, Belgrand and Piers Anthony, as well for Chameleon. Harry Potter's most important antecedents are J.R.R. Tolkien's The Hobbit, which is written in much lighter style than The Lord of the Rings C.S. Lewis. The Chronicles of Narnia and Lord Alexander's The Chronicles of Palladian, like Harry Potter. These books find their most enthusiast supporters in the bracket of age 10 to 15, but feature enough character development, plot, and thematic content to attract an older audience. Yet, in large part because of his contemporary setting, Harry Potter's popularity has greatly outstripped those of its predecessors, and to call the Harry Potter novel children's book is to underestimate them. The only people who apparently do not like these stories are the religious fundamentalists, some of whom are leveling the same charges at Harry Potter fans that they accuse and Dragon's Slayer out 20 years ago. After the Harry Potter's novel became a huge international success, the one world questions regarding the movie adaptations become when, not if, initial reports indicated that Steven Spielberg would direct Harry Potter and the Sorcerer's Stone. But for whatever reason, there are about 100 rumors flying around. Spielberg backed out, leaving the door open for Chris Columbus, the crowd-pleasing filmmaker who has behind the camera for Mrs. Double Four and Home Alone, as well as Last We Forget, Stepmom and Bicentennial Man. At the outset, Columbus and Harry might not seem to be the best matchup, but with Harry Potter and the Sorcerer's Stone, Columbus proves at least one thing. He can make the story accessible both to those who are familiar with the source, the majority of those who will see the film, at least in its theatrical release, and those who are not. Columbus will also direct the second Harry Potter movie. Current rumor claims that Spielberg wants to do the third. Voldemort vanished, never to be heard from again. Now on his birthday, Harry is visited by the imposing Rubius Hagrid Rubis, who has come to bring Harry to Hogwarts School of Witchcraft and Wizardry, where he will study to fulfill his true calling as a wizard. After a trip with Hagrid to buy supplies including a wand, a snowy owl, and a cauldron. Harry arrives at Hogwarts. There he meets the classmates who will become close friends, such as red-haired Ron Weasley, Rupert Grint, and bossy Hermione Granger, Emma Watson, and antagonists such as the arrogant Draco Malfoy, Tom Felton. Then there is the headmaster of the Hogwarts, the venerable wizard Albus Dumbledore, Richard Harris and his staff, Professor Minerva, Transfiguration, Professor Cuverland, whose course is Defense Against the Trocars, Professor Flitwick Warwick Davis, who teaches storms, and Professor Snap, Alan Rickman, Master of Potion. For Harry, however, there is more to be attending Hogwarts church studying as he begins to suspect one of the teachers of being in league with the Trogfairs lurking the forest. Harry Potter and the Sorcerer's Stone is rigorously faithful adaptations of the novel, with the exception of occasional details, short scenes, and portraits. Everything in the book is in the movie, and at least 75% of Steve Klove's dialogue is lifted directly from the next. For Harry Potter fans looking to see how their favorite scenes appears on screen. For Harry Potter fans looking to see how their favorite scene appear on screen, this is the boom. But there is something almost workman-like about the Columbus approach to the project. Movies and books and different media, and the best approach for adapting the latter into the former is not always an unvarnished translation. Columbus does not use any on his 11th birthday. Orphan Harry Potter discovers that he is a wizard, so off he goes to Hogwarts school to learn the ways of the wand. But it's not all lessons and making friends. Harry is destined for a showdown with the evil Lord Voldemort. Sometimes the best plan is to do things by the book. With our 100 million Harry Potter readers desperate to rush down cinema as less to see their hero on the big screen for the first time. You can't blame Chris Columbus for sticking close to J.K. Rowling's novel. It's one thing to let your imagination loose with the words on the page. It's another to have those images backed up by a multi-million-dollar Hollywood budget. And from the very first sight of an owl perched on the privet drives road sign to the closing shot of the Hogwarts Express pulling away from the station with the majestic school sitting high on the hills behind. We know that every golden gallon has been well spent. That's why these faithful adaptations won't fail to win over the books fans with its wow factor. It thrives on audiences' recognitions. Johan Williams' score swells at key moments. Here's your first glimpse of Hogwarts is the dragon alley crammed with dignations detail as Columbus pulls back certain after curtain to reveal all the avid readers' favorite bites. The standout sequences is the Gryffindor versus Slytherin Quidditch match, a fast-paced medieval rollerball with broomsticks. It shows where the pension maniacs portrays straddled on the third lap. Harry Potter and the Philosopher's Stone has one advantage over so many other blockbusters. It already knows that it is the first in the series, so it doesn't have to become a self-contained hit movie before its sequel can receive the green light. This means it deliberately takes its time setting up to the character and the scenario before, like the book, pulling in a quest com would unit plot to provide a climax. This structure is fine for the initiated, but it might leave first-timers feeling a bit uncomfortable with the shape of the movie. And because it's more of a kids' film than the book was just a kids' book, The 2.5 hour running time is bound to provoke some cinema screaming from young viewers. That said, Columbus ensures there's bit of an second magic coming over very couple of minutes, and not just in the shape of expensive effects. Near perfect casting ensures characters color from the adult actors and allow the central trio of kids, Radcliffe, Grint, and Weston, to prove that the three heads are better than one unless your name is Fluffy. Coltrane as Curdly, Chant Hagrid, and Grint as Harry's cheeky gum. Ron still some sense, but it's Radcliffe who leads us through Harry's journey from open underdog to pin-sized hero. Sympathetic and strong, brave and believably ordinary, he becomes the audience's counterpart in this wide world of witches and wizards. Even though a few of the book's scenes have been cut, fans probably could not hope for a better adaptations. It bodes well for the rest of the series when strong stories start taking precedence over setup. The Harry Potter book series by J.K. Rowling is known across the world. Rowling and her world became household names for many growing up in the early 2000s. Let's take a look at everything that happened in the movie adaptations that started it all, plus some differences between the book and movies that you might not know about, along with answers to the most frequently asked questions. Harry Potter is an orphan who is easily recognized by his peers because a lightning bolt scare on his forehead. After the death of Harry Potter's parents at the hands of the evil Lord Voldemort, Harry spends the next 10 years growing up with the Dursley, his aunt Petunia, her husband Vernon, and their son Dudley. Harry knows nothing about the magical wand that is right under his nose. From the beginning, it is apparent that his family neglects him and that his cousin is spoiled beyond belief. While on a trip to the zoo, Harry ends up talking to Snack that was raised in adaptivity. Little does he know he is actually speaking Perseltong, which we learn more about in the second movie. The moment his spoiled cousin Dudley sees this, he shows Harry to the ground to get a better look at the snack. Harry unintentionally uses magic for the first time and the glass disappears, causing his cousin to fall into the cage and allowing the snack the escape. When Dudley stands back up and tries to get out of the cage, the glass has reappeared. Harry finds a letter addressed to him in the mail. Coincidentally, after using magic for the first time, he makes the mistake of trying to open it in front of the Dursleys and his cousin snatches it out his hand. His aunt and uncle are horrified, but Harry has no idea why. More and more letters and owls start to appear, but Uncle Vernon does everything he can to keep them away from Harry. That is, until it literally starts raining letters in the house. In a panic, Uncle Vernon takes them as far away as he can to a wrinkly out hut on an island in the middle of nowhere. At his heart, Harry watches Dudley's watch strike midnight and he wishes himself a happy birthday. Second later, the door is broken down by a giant man named Hagrid. He gives Harry his letter and he is finally able to read it. He learns that he is a wizard and has been invited to attend Hogwarts School of Witchcraft and Wizardry as he finally became of age. This is usually the age when wizards start discovering they have powers. Harry also learns that his aunt and uncle knew the truth of him being a wizard all along, and not only kept his identity a secret but the cause of his parents' death a secret as well. When half-Jane Hagrid spots Dudley eating the cake he bought for Harry, he uses magic to give him a pig's tail and then reveals he is strictly not allowed to use magic. The magical school's groundskeeper takes Harry to Digon Alley, a place located within the wizarding world where most students go to get all their school's supplies like books, robes, money, and wands. They go to a place called Gringotts, the wizarding bank, where Hagrid goes to ward 713 to get a secret item for the headmaster. Harry then goes to Ollivander wine shop, where after a few tries, he finds the perfect wand. As the wand chooses him, Ollivander reveals that Harry and Voldemort's wands have twin cores, meaning they are from the same phonics and are connected. Hagrid gives Harry an owl, which he names Hagwig, as a birthday gift. After shopping, Hagrid reveals more about the dark sorcerer that murdered his parents and left a scar on his forehead. Hagrid leaves Harry at King's Cross stations to find platform 9 3x4 on his own. After overhearing a woman mention the word muggle, Harry asks her for help. This is his first interaction with the Weasley family and he runs through the spoiler between platforms 9 and 10, which leads him to the magical train. On the train to Hogwarts, Harry meets both Ron Weasley and Hermione Granger, who later and being his closest friends throughout the entire franchise. When the students arrive at Hogsmeade stations, Hagrid leads them to the docks. The first year take the boats to reach the school and they get their first look at the castle from the Black Lake. It is a magical moment for everyone, students and viewers alike. Professor MC Gonagall leads the students to the sorting hat ceremony where each student is sorted into their houses based on what kind of persons they each are. The trio are all sorted into. Professor MC Gonagall leads his students to the sorting hat ceremony where each student is sorted into their houses based on what kind of person they each are. The trio are all sorted into Gryffindor, while the boy they met on the staircase, Malfoy, is quickly sorted into Slytherin. During the opening speech, the headmaster Albus Dumbledore warns students that the third floor carriage is strictly forbidden and any who venture they will die painfully. Harry starts attending classes the next year, where he attends Professor MC Gonagall's class. The Transfiguration teacher, head of Gryffindor House, and the deputy headmistress, along with Professor Snape, the potions teacher, and the head of Slytherin. Harry and Ron learn that the Transfiguration's teacher is an animagus, a witch that can shift into an animal. The potions master gives Harry a hard time in his class. The first hint at the professor's gauge against his father. While on the grand staircase, which changes positions on its own, the three friends ends up on the third floor by accident. They try to turn around but they see Flicker's cat, Mrs. Norris. They run for the door at the end of the hall and Hermione uses Alohomora to unlock it. The moment on the trio think they are in the clear, they turn around to see a giant three-headed dog ready to eat them and they flee. On the way back to their rooms, Hermione points out that the three-headed dog was put there intentionally as it was guarding a trapdoor. On Halloween, Professor Flitwick teaches the students how to cast Wingardium Leviosa, the lifting charm. Hermione corrects Ron's pronunciation. Hermione corrects Ron's pronunciations of the spell and shows off her own skills, which Ron later mocks her for. She overhears him and spends the rest for her day crying in the bathroom. At the Halloween feast that evening, the defense against the dark arts teacher runs into the gate hall and announces that a troll has escaped and is in the dungeons. Everyone panics, but Harry and Ron realize Hermione's in the bathroom. So they go looking for her only to see that the troll has found her first. They battle the troll and Ron successfully defeats it by using Wingardium Leviosa on the troll's club and dropping it on his head. The teachers arrive, horrified to see that they had taken on the troll by themselves. The transfiguration teachers revoke some points from their house for disobeying orders to return to their common room, but then rewards a few points of their bravery. Harry also notices that Snap, the potions teacher, has a gash on his leg. Harry is gifted the Nimbus 2000, a magical broomstick from the deputy headmistress, as a gift to use during his very first quiz match against Slytherin. The game is played on broomsticks, which turns out to be very dangerous for Harry. His broom becomes cursed and he loses control of it. Harry's friends notice Snap staring at his room while chatting, so they automatically assume he is the one responsible and head over to him. Hermione, hidden behind Snap, casts a spell and sets his cloak on fire. This distraction causes Snap to panic, resulting in him accidentally knocking over a few of the dishes. The curse is broken and Harry is in control again. Where the pursuit of the golden snitch begins, Harry flies dangerously close to the ground and ends up falling off his broom while trying to catch the snitch. It turns out Harry basically swallowed it, but it still counts as a catch and his Quidditch team wins the game. While at Hagrid's house, the trio witness a dragon being born from an egg. Unfortunately, Malfoy follows them and tells the Transfigurations professors about their late-night trip. The professors gives all four of them detention, which they serve with the groundskeeper in the Forbidden Forest. Hagrid explains that someone has been killing unicorns and they split up. Harry and Malfoy takes Hagrid's dogs, Fang and Windsor, off on their own, where they discovers a cloaked figure drinking the blood of unicorn. Malfoy and Fang run off as it charges them and Harry falls over, only to be saved by Centaur. The Centaur explains what the cloaked figure was and Harry learns that Voldemort is still alive. Harry, Ron and Hermione discover that the three-headed dog is guarding a stone that can make someone immortal. The Sorcerer Stone they believe Snap is after it and rush to find the stone and to stop him. The trio goes through multiple trials and challenges, such as falling into the Devil's Snare plant which tries to kill them, as well as a trial with Flying Kiss, which allies also try to kill Harry. The most dramatic portion of their pursuit involves a life-size Wizards chess game where the three play as different pieces on the board. They end up winning and defeating the challenge, but Ron is injured due to his strategy of sacrificing his own piece that he was playing as to win. Hermione stays behind to help Ron and encourages Harry to continue on by himself. He does so and finds the mirrors of erased, a mirror which shows the person's deepest desires, and standing before it, Professor Quirrell Harry ends up with the stone in his pocket, as those that pursue it without the intent of using it are the only hosts who can obtain it. The defense against the Drog arts teacher reveals that all along he has been a host for Voldemort. The professor unwraps his turban to reveal Voldemort's face on the back of his head. When Harry refuses to hand over the stone, Voldemort commands his host to kill Harry. But Harry's touch apparently is deadly to cruel. The reason is that Harry's mom sacrificed herself for her son, creating a spell preventing Voldemort from touching Harry, and it ends up turning the professor into nothing but sand. The spirit of Voldemort, however, managed to escape. Harry and his friends successfully save the stone, and Gryffindor wins the House Cup. The school year comes to an end with Harry declaring that Hogwarts is his home. Harry Potter and the Sorcerer's Stone was released in 2001 and has amazing visual for its triumph. There is no doubt that Hogwarts Castle in one of the most amazing scenes of the movie. It looks extremely lifelike even from a distance. However, this was far before CGI was as developed as it is now, and before things like reality was existed. There are often times when you can tell the background as the grey screen, and if you have not seen the movie in a few years, some of the craft parts are glaringly obvious, especially the brick wall moving as Harry and Hagrid enter Diagon Alley. While Harry Potter is marketed as a children's movie, it definitely has some darker themes beneath it, such as the murder of Lily and James Potter and the obvious home and family Harry grows up with. Harry is even forced to sleep in a cupboard under the stairs by the Dursley family. The movies and books do a great job at making the wizarding world feel rich and alive. Watching the first movie again, you will notice how many elements present in the later movies were foreshadowed, such as Harry being a Parsmouth and Hagrid being forbidden to use magic. Hagrid was expelled from Hogwarts years ago, and due to never graduating, Hogwarts was not allowed to use magic. The movie leads us to believe Professor Snape is the villain in the entire time due to his menacing demeanor, and the twist at the end that Shapes was a good guy and not a bad guy is cleverly devised. The incorporations of magical games like Wizards, Chess, and Quidditch or that are later used as major obstacles is also interesting and really showcases the depth to his world we are introduced to. Harry's development as child character comes with his discovery of his past and his true identity. We get to see him long for his parents, a love he has never felt, but we also see him reject Voldemort later on when he offers to give that to Harry. Ron and Hermione's characters tend to grow because of each other. The latter comes across as a know-it-all and the former an airhead, but they both prove they are more than that. Ron is able to stop and not only save his friends from a troll, but make a huge sacrifice at the end. Hermione even addressed their dress to break the rules, like sneaking out at night and setting a teacher's robes on fire to protect her friends. The music throughout the entire series is by far one of the most memorable parts. Even people who have never seen the movies automatically recognize the notes of Hagrid theme by John Williams. The music brings the world of Hogwarts to life and establishes the tone of the movie. The sound design is no different. The charter is the Great Hall. The sound of turning pages is a quiet liberty. The roar of cheering fans in the stadiums all add to the life and vibrance of the Wizarding world. The movie was well received upon its initial release in 2001 as fans of the first novel fell in love with the world all over again. Of course, like any book to movie adaptations, many scenes were cut, much to the disappointment of readers. But even then, there is no doubt that the start of one of the most popular franchises was a success. The beginning of the first book begins with a fly on the wall, respectively, as the story follows the life of the Dursleys, which eventually leads up to the arrival of Professor Dumbledore, MC Gongle, Hagrid, and Baby Harry. The movie, however, just jumps straight to Dumbledore turning out the street light with his dolominator. There are a number of ghosts introduced in the first movie, such as nearly Heather's Nick, but the most infamous ghost from the books is missing. Peeves the poltergeist, who is known for wreaking havoc and constantly getting into trouble, is notable absent. Many readers were very disappointed when the movie was released and such as iconic character was missing. Harry meets Malfoy at Madame Malkin's clothing store in Dragon Alley in the book rather than on the staircase before the sorting ceremony, but in the board sense, despite Harry not fully understanding the wizarding world just yet, he can still tell Malfoy is the wrong sort of wizard to be around. In the books, Malfoy challenges Harry to a duel. Harry receives his father's invisibility cloak as a Christmas gift, and the trio uses it to sneak out and meet Malfoy. The Slytherin tricks them, and instead of merely running into the chaining staircase at random, they narrowly escape Fleet, who almost catch them. As a result, they accidentally encounter Fluffy. Each teacher sets up a trial that a person had to overcome to retrieve the stone, but only a few of these are showcased in the movie. Among the missing trial is Professor Snape's test, which serves as the trio's initial clue that Snape might not be the villain. One of the trial involved a row of deadly potions, and one of them had to choose the non-deadly potion and drink it. Hermione once again demonstrates her intelligence as she bravely selects the correct potion, allowing them all to progress. As the first entry in the Harry Potter film series, Harry Potter and the Sorcerer's Stone stands as a piece of film history. What Star Wars had done for a fantasy in a science fiction setting, Harry Potter achieved for fantasy in a distinctly English setting. It felt big and new, and captured the inner child of many readers and moviegoers worldwide thanks to the faithfulness of its adaptations, the strength of its core cast, and the quality of its effects. Popular film critic Roger Ebert even hailed it as a classic right of debate. There was good reason for this kind of deception as well. The Sorcerer's Stone serves as fantastic beginning to what would become a 8-movie series full of epic moments of humor, loss, victory, and amazement. It's distinctly a child story, allowing the film's tone to grow with his core characters, who are only 11 at the series' beginning. However, it hints at the more adult trials that await its principal characters, while also establishing the core characteristics that make them worthy heroes even as they mature. Taking Harry Potter and the Sorcerer's Stone at face value, the film's first two acts are more about discovery and start like wonder. The once abused Harry is swept from his life of neglect and mistreatment at the hands of his aunt and uncle to one where the impossible is possible. In the magical world, Harry is the wealthy celebrity, a talented athlete, and a gifted wizard with a bright future up until the film's climax, where Harry confronts Voldemort. Harry is living out every child's fantasy. What makes Harry a hero, however, is not any of his talents. He may seem especially gifted by fate, but that does not mean much when your life's on the line. Instead, Harry's heroism, perhaps, derives from his bravery, the defining feature of Gryffindor House. He proves his bravery after he is tempted by Voldemort and still chooses to oppose him, refusing to hand over the Sorcerer's Stone and even miraculously fighting off Voldemort's host, Professor Squirrel. True Harry has been bold from the movie's beginning, standing up to Draco and sneaking around the school at night. He tries to investigate the Sorcerer's Stone and oppose Voldemort family semantics characterizations. This traits consistence for the rest of the series as Harry continually takes initiative in the fight against dark magic even when he does not need to. Unlike other heroes, Harry is not necessarily forced into conflict, at least until he gets older. He runs headlong into them, proving his mettle long after the events of Sorcerers. Despite what the series name might suggest, however, Harry Potter is not the only important person in the story. He proves himself a hero all by his lonesome. Harry would never reach Voldemort or bypass the challenges which preceded the Dark Wizard if it does not for his friends Hermione and Ron, of course, as the two other main characters of Harry Potter series, the two stalwart allies put on their own displays of heroism in the film's final hour. Of the trio, Hermione is the first to receive an opportunity to be a hero after the two sneak into the series of chambers meant to guard the Sorcerer's Stone. They encounter a new kind of trap. The floor of one chamber is no floor at all, but rather a deadly planet known as Devil's Tower. She and Harry, who follows her leads, pass through unharmed. Unfortunately, Ron is now too composed, and Hermione has to show her strength again by recalling a light spell capable of repelling Devil's Shore. Meanwhile, Ron receives his own heroic moment during the last challenge, a life-size version of Wizard's chess. Ron proves himself both a seasoned strategist and a courageous leader when he sacrifices himself on the board to allow Harry the chance to checkmate the opposing pieces. Ron and Hermione are pretty heroic in Sorcerer's Stone, and they remain heroes for the rest of the series, staying by Harry's side no matter what. One important conclusion to be gathered from each of these characters' heroic moment is that success is only achieved through human connections. Harry would never have bypassed the many chambers guarding the Sorcerer's Stone if his most trusted friends were not right there with him, willing to put their own lives on the line to reach the same goal. They share a bond and a level of trust that makes them more than the sum of their parts. After all, these challenges were put into place by Hogwarts teachers, some of Britain's greatest wizards, yet 3 years old managed to surpass them all. The idea that human connection is Harry's greatest weapon is revealed by Dumbledore in the film's final moments when he reveals that Harry was only able to defeat Quirrell and Voldemort because of the enduring love magic his mother caused to protect him on the night Voldemort murdered her. Harry did not know it, but the love of his friends and family had always been there to prop him when his courage and skill alone were not enough to do the job. Ultimately, in the franchise's final installments, Harry learns just how important his mother's sacrifice was in his battle against Voldemort, and Sorcerer's Stone gives audience a taste of what's to come. The Harry Potter books series by J.K. Rowling is known across the world. Rowling and her world became household names for many growing up in the early 2000s. Let's take a look at everything that happened in the movie adaptations that started it all, plus some differences between the books and movies that you might not know about, along with answers to the most frequently asked questions. Harry Potter is an orphan who is easily recognized by his peers because of a lightning bolt scar on his forehead. After the death of Harry Potter's parents at the hands of the evil Lord Voldemort, Harry spends the next 10 years growing up with the Dursley, his aunt, her husband Vernon, and their son, Dudley. Harry knows nothing about the magical world that is right under his nose. From the beginning, it's apparent that his family neglects him and that his cousin is spoiled beyond belief. While on a trip to the zoo, Harry ends up taking a snack that was raised in captivity. Little does he know he is actually speaking, which he was more about in the second movie. The moment his spoiled cousin Dudley sees this, he shows Harry to the ground to get a better look at his snack. Harry unintentionally uses magic for the first time, and the glass disappears, causing his cousin to fall into the cage and allowing the snack to escape. When Dudley stands back up and tries to get out of the cage, the glass has reappeared. Harry finds a letter addressed to him in the mail. Coincidentally, after using magic for the first time, he makes the mistake of trying to open it in front of the Dursleys, and his cousin snatches it out of his hand. His aunt and uncle are horrified, but Harry has no idea why. More and more letters and owls start to appear, but Uncle Vernon does everything he can to keep them away from Harry. That is until it literally starts raining letters in the house. In a panic, Uncle Vernon takes them as far away as he can to a regretfully out on an island on the middle of nowhere. At his heart, Harry duly watched strike midnight, and he wishes himself a happy birthday. Second letter. The door is broken down by a giant man named Hagrid. He gives Harry his letter, and he is finally able to read it. He learns that he is a wizard and he has been invited to attend Hogwarts School of Witchcraft and Wizardry as he finally became of age. This is usually the age when wizards start discovering they have powers. Harry also learns that his aunt and uncle knew the truth of him being a wizard all along, and not only kept his identity a secret, but the cause of his parents' death a secret as well. When the half-giant Hagrid was Dudley eating the cake he brought of Harry, he uses magic to give him a pig's shell and then reveal he is strictly not allowed to use magic. The magical school's groundskeeper takes Harry to Dragon Alley, a place located within the wizarding world where most students to get all their school's supplies like books, robes, money, and wands. They go to a place called Granger's, the wizarding bank, where Hagrid does to value 17 to get a secret item for the headmaster. Harry then goes to Ollivander Wand's shop, where after a few tries, he finds the perfect wand. As the wand shows him, Ollivander reveals that Harry and Voldemort wands have jump codes, meaning they share a tail feather from the same phoenix and are connected. Hagrid gives Harry an owl, which he names Hugo, as a birthday gift. After shopping, Hagrid reveals more about the dark sorcerer that murdered his parents and left a scar on his forehead. Hagrid leaves Harry at King's Cross station to find platform 9 3x4 on his own. After overhearing a woman mention the word Muggle, Harry asks her for help. This is his first interactions with the Weasley family, and he runs through the pillar between platform 9 and 10, which leads him to magical train. On the train to Hogwarts, Harry meets both Ron Weasley and Hermione's Granger, who later end up being his closest friends throughout the entire franchise. When the students arrive at Hogwarts stations, Harry leads them to the dogs. The first year take the boats to reach the school and they get the first look at the castle from the Black Lake. It is a magical moment for everyone, students and viewers alike. Professor M.C. Gongal leads the students to the sorting hat ceremony where each student is sorted into their houses based on what kind of person they each are. The trio are all sorted into Gryffindor while the boy they met on the staircase. Malfoy is quickly sorted into Slytherin. During the opening speech, the headmaster Albus Dumbledore warns students that the third floor corridor is strictly forbidden and any who venture they will die painfully. Harry started attending classes the next day, where he attends Professor M.C. Gongal's class. The Transfigurations teacher, head of Gryffindor House and deputy headmistress, along with Professor Snap, the potions teacher and head of Slytherin. Harry and Ron learn about that Transfigurations teacher in an animagus which that can shift into an animal. The potions master gives Harry a hard time in his class. The first hint at the professor's Grioggio against his father. While on the grand staircase, a staircase which changes positions on its own, the three friends ends up the third floor by accident. They try to turn around, but they see Flesh a cat. Mrs. Norris they run for the door at the end of the hall, and Hermione uses Almo to unlock it. The moment the trio think they are in the clear, they turn around to see a giant three-headed dog ready to eat them and they flee. On the way back to the rooms, Hermione points out that the three-headed dog was put there intentionally as it was guarding a trap door. On Halloween, Professor Flickwick teaches the students how to cast Winged Leviosa, the lifting charm. Hermione corrects Ron's pronunciations of spell and shows off her own skill, which Ron later mocks her for. She overhears him and spends the rest of her day crying in the bathroom. At the Halloween feast that evening, the defense against the Rock Arts teacher runs into the Great Hall and announces that a troll has escaped and is ready. Everyone panics, but Harry and Ron realize Hermione is in the bathroom, so they go looking for her only to see that the troll has found her first. The battle the troll, Ron successfully defeat it by using Wingardium Leviosa on the troll's club and dropping it on his head. The teachers arrive, horrified to see they had taken on the troll by themselves. The Transfigurations teachers revoke some points from their house for disobeying order to return their common room, but then rewards a few points for their bravery. Harry also notices that Snap, the potions teacher, has a gash on his leg. Harry is gifted the Nimbus 2000, a magical broomstick from the deputy headmistress as a gift to use during his very first Quidditch match against Slytherin. The game is played on broomsticks, which turns out to be very dangerous for Harry. His broom becomes cursed and he loses control of it. Harry's friends notice Snap staring at his broom while chanting, so they automatically assume he is the one responsible and head over to him. Hermione, hidden behind Snap, casts a spell and sets his clock on fire. This distraction causes Snap to panic, resulting in his accidentally knocking over a few of the teachers. The curse is broken and Harry is controlled again, where the pursuit of the golden snitch begins. Harry flies dangerously close to the ground and ends up falling off his broom while trying to catch the snitch. It turns out Harry basically swallowed it but it still counts as a catch and his Quidditch team wins the game. While at Harry's hut, the trio witness a dragon being born from an egg. Unfortunately, Malfoy follows them and tells the Transfiguration professor about their late night trip. The professor gives all four of them detention, which they serve with the groundskeepers in the Forbidden Forest. Hagrid explained that someone has been killing unicorns and is split up. Harry and Malfoy takes Hagrid's dog, Fang, and venture off on their own, where they discover a cloaked figure drinking the blood of unicorn. Malfoy and Fang run off as it charges them and Harry falls over, only to be saved by a centaur. The centaur explains what the cloaked figure was and Harry learns that Voldemort is still alive. Harry, Ron, and Hermione discover that the three-headed dog is guarding a stone that can make someone immortal. The Sorcerer's Stone, they believe Snape is after it and rush to find the stone and to stop him. The trio goes through multiple trials and challenges such as falling into the Devil's Share plant which tries to kill them, as well as a trial with flying keys which also try to kill Harry. The most dramatic portion of the pursuit involves a life-size wizard's chess game where the three play as different pieces on the board. They end up winning and defeating the challenge, but Ron is injured due to his strategy of sacrificing his own pieces that he was playing as to win. Hermione stays behind to help Ron and encourages Harry to continue on by himself. He does so and finds the mirror of Eris, a mirror which shows the person's deepest desires, and standing before it Professor Quirrell. Harry ends up with the stone in his pocket as those that pursue it without the intent of using it are the only ones who can obtain it. Harry Potter and the Philosopher's Stone, the first novel in the immense popular Harry Potter series by British writer J.K. Rowling. It was first published in Britain in 1997 and appeared in the United States the following year under the title Harry Potter and the Sorcerer's Stone. The book's imaginative storyline about a boy wizard made it an enduring hit with both children and adults. Summary: 10 years old Harry Potter is an orphan who lives in the fictional London. Superb of later winning Surrey with the Dursleys, his uncaring Aunt Petunia, Lord Sam's uncle Vernon, and spoiled cousin Dudley. The Dursleys barely tolerate Harry and Dudley bullies him. One day Harry is astonished to receive a letter addressed to him in the cupboard under the stairs where he sleeps. Before he can open the letter, however, Uncle Vernon takes it. Letters for Harry subsequently arrive each day in increasing numbers, but Uncle Vernon tears them all up. They finally, in an attempt to escape the missives, the Dursleys go to the miserable shack on a small island. On Harry's 11th birthday, a giant named Hagrid arrives and reveals that Harry is a wizard and that he has been accepted at the Hogwarts School of Witchcraft and Wizardry. He also sheds light on Harry's past, informing the boy that his parents, a wizard and a witch, were killed by the evil wizard Voldemort and that Harry acquired the lightning bullet scar on his forehead during the fatal confirmation. Upon arrival at the school, the students are sorted into one of four houses: Gryffindor, Hufflepuff, Ravenclaw, or Slytherin. Harry ends up in Gryffindor, and during his eventful first year at Hogwarts, he becomes close friends with two other members of the house. Ron Weasley, who comes from an old wizarding family, and Hermione's Granger, whose parents are muggles, Joes, who are not magical. Harry also finds that he has an enemy in Draco Malfoy Slytherin. In addition, Harry's powers in flying on a broomstick makes him a star of Gryffindor's Quidditch team, hoping to get Harry and his friends into trouble. Draco tricks them into leaving their rooms one night, a violation of school rules. While trying to avoid being caught, they discover a three-headed dog gardening Trapper. Harry gradually comes to the conclusions that Professor Snap, who teaches the potions, dislikes him intensely and is trying to get hold of whatever is behind the trapdoor. Harry receives his father's cloak of invisibility as a Christmas gift, and while exploring under the clock's cover, he finds the mirrors of Arrest, in which he can see her parents. Later, Headmaster Albus Dumbledore explains that the mirror shows the viewer's deepest desire. Harry, Ron, and Hermione deduce that the treasure under the trapdoor is the Philosopher's Stone, which can transform metal into gold and can also confer immortality. They later discover that Voldemort has been killing a unicorn in the Forbidden Forest and drinking their blood. Another way to achieve immortality, the trio comes to believe that Snap is in league with the evil wizard. After learning that Hagrid revealed the secret way to pull the three-headed dog to sleep to a suspicious stranger, whom they believe to be either Snap or Voldemort, they are certain that the Philosopher's Stone is in danger. The three classmates uses the Cloak of Invisibility on a secret mission to get the stone themselves to keep it from Voldemort. After getting past the dog and defeating various protective spells, Harry receives rooms in which the stone is hidden and is surprised to find the perpetually nervous Professor Quirrell there. Quirrell fails to figure out how to retrieve the stone from the mirror of Arrest, the final protective measure, and forces Harry to try. When standing in front of the mirror, wishing only to protect the stone and not use it for himself, Harry feels the stone weight in his pocket but refuses to tell Quirrell that he has it. Quirrell unwraps his turban, revealing Voldemort's face on the back of his head. Voldemort explains that he has been sharing Quirrell's body until he can get to the stone and become fully alive again. And Voldemort, Quirrell, and Harry fight for possessions of the stone. Until Harry blacks out, he awakens in infirmary and learns that Dumbledore saved him. The stone is to be destroyed and Voldemort escaped. Harry Potter and the Philosopher's Stone is an enthralling start to Harry's journey towards coming to terms with his past and facing his future. It was the first book written by Rowling, and she was praised for creating well-grounded characters and a finally realized wizard universe that coexisted with the present world, and almost immediately critical and popular success. It was translated into some 60 languages. The 6 later novels about Harry's further adventures at Hogwarts were equally popular. The film Harry Potter and the Sorcerer's Stone 2001 was a blockbuster. Harry Potter, fictional character, a boy wizard created by British author J.K. Rowling. His coming of age exploit are the subject of seven in a mostly popular novel 1997-2007, which were adapted into 8 films 2001 to 11. A play and a book of its script appeared in 2016. Harry Potter was first introduced in the novel Harry Potter and the Philosopher's Stone, 1997, also published as Harry Potter and the Sorcerer's Stone, as an orphan who is mistreated by his guardian, aunt, and uncle and their son. On his 11th birthday, it takes a great deal of bravery to stand up to your enemies, but a great deal more to stand up to your friends. Albus, Harry Potter and the Sorcerer's Stone. Harry Potter and the Sorcerer's Stone is the movie made after the book, where the main character, Harry Potter, is delivered a letter saying he was invited to attend the magical Wizardry school, Hogwarts. Being sad, Harry, along with his friends Ron and Hermione, find out there's an extremely powerful wizard with his minions who are looking for the Sorcerer's Stone, which would make him and his minions extremely powerful and immortal. My honest opinion of this movie is a solid 4/5. Here's the pros and cons. Pros. This movie sparks a lot of nostalgia and joy for me, as I watched a lot of Harry Potter movies when I was younger. The main characters, Harry, Ron, and Hermione, were very nicely played by their actors in this movie and have great chemistry. Their acting and parts in this movie just sucked me in and were just overall very lively. Harry is the focal point of the entire story, of course, with Hermione being the intelligent parts of this group. Then Ron typically being the comedic relief for the audience to enjoy. J.K. Rowling honestly did a great job bringing the entire magical world together and made Hogwarts so imaginative and bringing things to life. Experiencing the world of wizards feels so mysterious, fulfilling, and amusing. I personally think the movie is a very good reenactment of the book. Bringing your imaginations onto the screen changes things, and it's exciting to see the world J.K. Rowling actually created for people to see. The story itself throughout the movie is played out very well. I loved everything that led up to the stone and what Harry, Ron, and Hermione had to go through to get it to. They basically had to go through a magical escape room and many challenging obstacles. Cons. Something that bothered me was just how easily convenient everything was for Harry Potter, such as his survival having a really smart friend to get him and his group out of any situations. Somehow getting his hands on the invisibility cloak and getting the fat Swass's broom. Yes, there are problems thrown at him throughout the movie, but he just so happens to have amazing luck and gets passing a little too easily. Felt a bit like lazy writing occurred. Hogwarts was always a little too dangerous. It was a good school and all, but everything that happened there just felt like the teachers and staff did not have much concern for the students and the whatnot. There were aggressive trolls in the same building as the students, unpredictable stairs that moved at any time and could cause injuries to students, and the staff had outrageous punishments that seemed way overboard. I feel like the relationship and story between Harry and Voldemort simply needed more. The movie had its climax, but things were still very unclear as to what had actually happened and why. While more was explained in the later Harry Potter movies, it would have been nice to have at least a little more explanation in the Sorcerer's Stone to make things more understandable. It takes a great deal of bravery to stand up to your enemies, but a great deal more to stand up to your friends. Albus Dumbledore, Harry Potter, and the Sorcerer's Stone Movie summary: Harry Potter and the Sorcerer's Stone in the movie, made after the book where the main character, Harry Potter, is delivered a letter saying he was invited to attend the magical Wizardry school, Hogwarts. That being said, Harry, along with his friends Ron and Hermione, find out he is an extremely powerful wizard with his minions who are looking for the Sorcerer's Stone, which would make him and his minions extremely powerful and immortal. My honest opinion of this movie is a solid 4/5. Here is this props and cause story. Since being orphaned as a baby, Harry Potter, Daniel Radcliffe, has lived with his aunt and uncle, who have made him sleep in cupboard under the stairs. But Harry is actually a wizard. He was placed in the home by Professor Dumbledore, Richard Harris, and Professor M.C. Gongal Maggie Smith, veteran wizards who run Hogwarts, a boarding school for sorcerers. By placing him with his aunt and uncle, Dumbledore and MC Gonagal hoped to keep Harry safe from the evil wizard Voldemort, who killed his parents. Harry's aunt and uncle have attempted to conceal his wizard background. In spite of their efforts, Harry is retrieved by Hagrid robbing on the eve of his 11th birthday and is soon bound for Hogwarts school. While on the train to the wizard school, Harry quickly makes friends with two other first-year students, Ron Weasley, Robert Grint, and Hermione's Granger, Emma Watson. As they begin their training at the school, the three friends become suspicious about some strange things occurring here. They learn about the Philosopher's Stone, a rock with magical powers that can turn any metal into gold and create an elixir that ensures immortality. They soon become involved in many frightening adventures which bring them up against the evil Voldemort. Themes: death of parents, the supernatural, cruelty to children, violence. This movie includes some violence. For example, as a baby, Harry has a slightly bloody cut shaped like a lightning bolt on his forehead. Harry's cousin, Dudley, deliberately pushed Harry into a cupboard and then kicks the door closed while laughing. Later, Uncle Vernon grabs Harry by his hair, shoves him into a cupboard, and bolts the door. While looking at a snake exhibit at the zoo, Harry is shot out of the way by Dudley and falls onto the ground. The glass on the snake enclosure disappears, and Dudley falls through into the snake's enclosure. A very large anaconda slithers across him while people scream. Uncle Vernon points a shotgun threateningly at Hagrid, who grabs hold of the end of the shotgun and effortlessly bends the gun's barrel upwards. The gun goes off and blasts a hole in the ceiling. A giant troll walks down a hall at Hogwarts and enters the girl toilets to find Hermione. Hermione screams and Jen hides in a toilet cubicle. The troll uses his giant club to smash the toilet cubicle and toilet bowl, narrowly missing Hermione. Harry and Ron arrive and throw debris at the troll, hitting him in the head. Harry jumps on the troll's head. The troll grabs him and holds him upside down while trying to hit Harry with his club. Ron levitates the troll's club into the air and it falls on the troll's head, knocking him unconscious. During a Quidditch match, a cross between basketball and rugby on flying broomsticks, students run into each other and knock other students off their broomsticks. They violently kick, elbow, and throw balls at other riders. Hermione points her wanted a fellow students and chants a spell, and we see the boys stiffen and fall backwards. During a game of giant wizards chess, the gain chess pieces use swords and axes to smash and destroy each other. Ron is thrown off a horse unconscious. Professor Quirrell uses magic to compel Harry to walk towards him, shouting him and treating him. Quirrell clicks his fingers and a wall of flames erupts in front of Harry, preventing him from escaping. Voldemort, in the form of a face on the back of Professor Quirrell's head, orders Quirrell to kill Harry, while Quirrell attacks and struggles him. Harry grabs hold of Quirrell. Quirrell takes on a burnt, mummified appearance before turning to ash and disintegrating. A swirling grey ghost-like image rises up out of Quirrell's ashes and flies through Harry's body. Harry falls back unconscious with his face and hands covered in bloody cuts and scratches. Sexual references, none of concern. Alcohol, drugs, and other substances. This movie contains some use of substances. For example, Hagrid talks about visiting pubs. He once walks into one pub and the bartender asks him if he would like the usual nudity and sexual activity, none of concern. Product placement, none of concern. Coarse language. This movie contains some low-level coarse language, name calling and put downs. Ideas to discuss with your children. Harry Potter and the Philosopher's Stone is a fantasy movie targeting a young adolescent audience based on the book of the same name. It follows the book faithfully and is also likely to entertain adult audiences. You are strong cautioned that the movie is sometimes intense. It contains violence, dark moments, and visual images capable of scaring or disturbing younger children, particularly those who have not read the book 151 minutes, and the movie is also too long for younger children. The main message from the movie are about the importance of getting on with your life rather than dwelling on dreams. It also highlights friendship and good triumphing over will. Values in this movie you might like to reinforce with your children include bravery and selflessness. You could also talk about the real life of consequences of knowingly placing yourself in a dangerous situations. These consequences might be far more serious than shown in the movie. It's important to remember the ongoing controversial statements by the creator of the Harry Potter franchise. CBR supports the hard work of industry professionals on properties fans now and love and the wider world of Harry Potter that fans have adopted as their own. You can find CBR's continuing coverage on Rolling Hair, taking over $90 million at the box office in its opening weekend. Harry Potter and the Sorcerer's Stone was an immediate hit, with Home Alone director Series Columbus and the Amazing Spider-Man screenwriter Steve Kloves behind the camera. The movie put J.K. Rowling by Wizard in safe hands, and with Rowling have not yet written books 6 and 7 in the novel series, leaving readers in limbo as Voldemort's army advanced on Hogwarts. 2001 seemed like the perfect year to release Harry Potter in cinema. Cut to 2024, and Warner Bros. Has continued to ensure the Harry Potter franchise makes money, having brought in over $9.5 billion at the box office across 11 films. The boy wizard is now on industry with his own theme park toy-ins and an upcoming TV reboot on Max. If anything, Harry Potter is more popular now than he has ever been, raising the questions of what exactly made his movie adaptations so special and why was Harry Potter and the Sorcerer's Stone the perfect launch pad. The Sorcerer's Stone was world building at its best. The first Harry Potter movies was a real eye-opener. The flagstone floor in the Hogwarts Great Hall is real. Production designer Stuart Gregg based his design of Hogwarts on Durham Cathedral. All the floating candles in those initial films were real, until health and safety demanded they be replaced with CGI. The magical first chapter of the Harry Potter films, known as Harry Potter and the Philosopher's Stone outside the US, is a true rite of passage. In the opening minutes, audiences are wonderfully introduced to Professor Albus Dumbledore, Professor MC Gonagall, and Hogwarts gamekeeper Hagrid. They arrive in the dead of night, delivering a baby boy to his only living relative, highlighting a wealth of visual effect and establishing a world of infinite possibilities. Production designer Stuart Greg was key in making that happen. Whether audience were looking out across the lake at Hogwarts School for Witchcraft and Wizardry on Dawn Dragon Alley. Stuart Craig was key in making that happen. Whether audiences were looking out across the lake at Hogwarts School for Witchcraft and Wizardry or Dawn Dragon Alley, where artifacts were bought and sold. From the Great Hall at Hogwarts to the massive miniature castle, production design played a huge role in establishing the Harry Potter universe. Practical effects combined with awards-winning makeup gave audience a world they could immerse themselves in. 2 decades on, those effects still hold up. The attention to detail lavished on each element by Greg and his team earned them 5 Oscar nominations across 7 Harry Potter films, each one upping the ante as Harry's world became more complex. However, Harry Potter and the Sorcerer's Stone is impressive for more than its ability to lift rolling creations off the page and bring them to life. Without an impressive array of acting talent on screen to add the human element, the outcome would have been very different. Harry Potter's wizarding world was packed with great actors. J.K. Rowling insisted on Robbie Coltrane's for the role of Hagrid. Richard Harris turned down the role of Dumbledore until his granddaughter threatened to disown him. Playing Hermione's Granger was 11-year-old Emma Watson's first acting job. Although audiences would grow to love Daniel Radcliffe, Emma Watson, and Rupert Grint, Harry Potter and the Sorcerer's Stone was never intended to showcase their talent. While Watson was Harry Potter's breakout actor with her precocious turn, the young actors relied more on enthusiasm than technique as he established his supporting cast did the heavy lifting. Robbie Coltrane's well known to British fans from starring in the TV series Crackers really impressed as Hagrid's, while Richard Harris gave audiences a more understand Dumbledore than his successor Michael Gambon ever did. However, Alan Rickman made the biggest first impression as Severus Snape despite having minimal screen time. In his small number of scenes, Rickman shaped a despicable characters through simple gestures, whispered dialogue, and rigid demeanor. Shape was Harry's hotshot critic, offered him the least sport, and he put any displays of Harry's talent down to blind luck. Rickman's work was a stroke of genius, since he was playing emotional poker with his audience, hiding everything beneath a thick shroud of indifference. Villainy never contained such casual, on-screen cruelty or gave off an air of evil so incarnate. Snape was a master class in character creations as Rickman slowly stole the film out from under his coasters while other Harry Potter actor would also impress. No one quite reached the heights that Rickman did. The cover of Harry Potter and his Sorcerer's Stone was created by artist Thomas Taylor in 2 days. Publisher Arthur R. Levine, who was in charge of distributing the first book in America, suggested Harry Potter and the School of Magic as an alternative US title before Sorcerer's Stone. A staff member at UK publishing house Bloomsbury suggested they print an adult editions. After seeing someone hiding their copy inside another publications on the train, the Harry Potter book series provided J.K. Rowling with the opportunity to make her make way in Hollywood. Rowling has publicity said on her website that it took her 5 years to write Harry Potter and the Philosopher's Stone. Family trees, characters, connections, and an entire ecosystem were unrevealed before putting pen to paper. The character of Harry Potter might have come into her head fully formed on a train trip back from Manchester, England, but the rest took serious work. And that's why Harry Potter and the Sorcerer's Stone was able to translate into a great movie. The film contained a classic rags to riches story, embarrassed genuine tragedy, and celebrated the protective power of love. Through Harry and his friends, Rowling gave audience a collection of characters with genuine flaws and used them to explore the human conditions. Plot points in Harry Potter and the Sorcerer's Stone look even more poignant in retrospect than they did when the movie was released. Now that audiences know Rowling was still writing the books during the movie's productions, all the pieces fell into place in the way they usually only do when a movie series is particularly planned out. That story flow ensured the continued success of Harry Potter as a franchise. Stuart Craig and his team created an amazing wizarding world, but Rowling's source material and Klaus' strong screenplay provided that world with the foundations. Harry Potter and the Sorcerer's Stone broke the single-day box office earnings records multiple times. It also held the record for highest gross across Thanksgiving weekend for 12 years, until it was beaten by The Hunger Games Catching Fire in 2013. Variety critic Todd McCarthy compared the movie to the cinematic classics Gone with the Wind. Audiences are still fascinated by the wizarding world with very good reasons. Harry Potter and the Sorcerer's Stone remains a memorable debut for one of the biggest fantasy franchises of all time. Between the Oscar-nominated world-building performances by Oscar-winning actors alongside clearly developing talent and a universal identifiable story, the film made a statement in every way possible. It does set the bar high for the rest of the Harry Potter movies. Caught up in the possibilities of a world without boundaries, producer David Hyman and his prevailing revolving door of collaborators ensured that Harry Potter would have a legacy that lasted. Looking back, people might not have guessed that the movie would lead to billions of dollars in revenue and countless of shoots, or that young Daniel Radcliffe would grow up to win a Tony Award for the 2024 Broadway revival of Merrily We Roll Along while Emma